Hey there, it's Jeff Luther, and you are diving into the podcast for the Service Business Blueprint. This is where I walk with you and help you unlock the secrets to building a thriving service-based business. We talk about everything from starting out to setting milestones in your company you didn't even know would exist. We'll cover entrepreneurship, personal growth, mindset, everything you need for success in your service-based business. You ready to build that blueprint? Welcome back, Service Business Blueprint. I'm your host, Jeff Luther. This is where I'm trying to share tools, tips, strategies, all the stuff behind the scenes to help you achieve your personal and your business goals. That can be overcoming mindset, it can be business problems, it can be personal problems, personal issues, personal growth goals. I'm your host, Jeff Luther, and today's episode we're finally going to move off of price. The last two episodes have been on price and overcoming price objection, and I promised a great episode this go around, but there's something that I have to address in this episode before we move on to that next episode that I'm so excited about. And I'm excited about this episode too. We've been talking about price a lot in the last two episodes, and one of the episodes was a segment on higher fees being good for the client, being good for everybody involved, but particularly good for the client. And I made a pretty compelling argument. Well, price obviously makes some people uncomfortable, very few people, and a very select group of people. So I actually got a few disparaging comments on our YouTube channel over the price episode. And it's funny because it's people that are in the same profession as what I was speaking to in home inspection. I don't know, their identity was anonymous, so I couldn't tell exactly, or it could have been one of our folks. Who knows? But overall, the comments were far more favorable comments than negative comments. But I think that it's important just to go through kind of a quick segment about being a business owner and about evolving. Most of us, myself included, we started our service business because there was something that we were good at. For me, I was really good at home inspection. For some of you folks out there, it might be that you're a really good electrician, or you really know the ins and outs of HVAC, or you have great pressure washing equipment. Whatever it is, there was probably something you were really good at and continued doing it. People liked it. You got better. And as a result, you started to earn a living off of doing that thing. That's exactly what I did. I did my first inspection in June of 2002. I did my second one in August of 2002. So I was not setting the world on fire. Mine was just a means to get me where I wanted to be when I grew up. I just didn't know what that was. And in fact, I started a home inspection business. I cut grass during the day, so like a lawn care business. And then I also worked at Home Depot from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. so that I could get health insurance. I was actually getting married that year. So I had a calendar that I kept in my home office, which was actually attached to a laundry room. It was just a vacant wall in a laundry room that I set a small desk at. That was my home office, so to speak. And I had to make $50 a day. So I would write on that calendar every single day the amount of money that I earned for that day, and it had to average out to $50 a day. So all that to be said, that we start out with our business with doing something that we're good at, but that only gets us so far. We have to evolve. We have to get out of our comfort zone. And I'll explain it this way. So if you can have the visual of take a little sheet of paper and put a dot, let's say in the center of the sheet of paper, and go out about an inch and draw a circle all the way around that dot, and have the perimeter about an inch away from the circle, all the way around that circle, or away from the dot, all the way around that circle. And envision that as your comfort zone. That's your comfort zone. So the only way to make that circle bigger, the only way to make your comfort zone bigger is to take that dot and put it outside of that circle somewhere. That's outside of your comfort zone. And then once you get comfortable with that circle going around, now both dots at least an inch away, then that becomes your new comfort zone. So the only way to grow your comfort zone is to get out of it. As your business grows, you're going to have to grow with it. If you want to keep growing, that is. And honestly, even if you don't want to keep growing, you really can't stay in one place. And I'll explain that. I'm in the home inspection business. The majority of our referrals come from real estate agents that are in the business that know they need a good professional to refer their clients to. So we get referrals from real estate agents. That's predominantly how our business is grown. So if you think about one inspector that just wants to do 5 inspections a week, once they get to that point where they've done 5 inspections a week, then realtor number 7 on their list calls to book an inspection. Well, they don't have time for that realtor, so they tell the realtor, hey, I can't do that inspection for your clients that week because I'm full. Well, that real estate agent is going to go on to book business with someone else. And if they really like that someone else that they book business with, then that client is gone forever. That's what I mean. So then you're back having to find a new agent to replace that agent that you lost. Agents will call someone else when there's no availability because they have to, and that business is gone forever. So that's what I mean. You really can't just stay stagnant. Sometimes we think that we can, but we really can't. And I spent a lot of my early adult years as a competitive cyclist. So I'll compare it to the same cycling scenario, where you have the pelotons, like the large group of cyclists that stay kind of towards the front of the race, front of the pack. Sometimes you have breakaways that'll get off the front. But that large peloton, there was always a saying in the peloton that if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. You can't really stay static. You have to be dynamic. It's a constant ebb and flow of the pack. And if you're not moving to the front, then you're moving to the back because you can't stay in one place. So that's what I oftentimes I'll use that analogy in business. And I'll also take an opportunity to say this. A good player works hard to win the game that everybody is playing, right? This is the difference between good and great. A great player creates a whole new game that favors their strengths and avoids their weaknesses. So they create their own game. So that's part of what we have to do as business owners in the involvement of us personally, of us professionally, and of our business. We have to create a whole new game where we're the ones setting up how we use our strengths and how we avoid our weaknesses. So as you evolve, here's 4 questions that I like to pose. And this is as our business is growing and as new opportunities arise and as new problems present themselves. One question is, what feels like fun to me and work to everyone else? Like, for example, what feels like fun to me? What feels like fun to me is getting on stage in front of agents or clients and talking. I love public speaking. Most folks would rather cut off a toe than speak in public. So that feels fun to me. We have a guy on our team that loves mapping. He loves to map out all of our next day inspections. Like he'll do it even when he's on vacation. And that to me sounds miserable. I would rather cut off a toe. Another question is, what makes me lose track of time? So this is something like if I'm writing a podcast, or if I'm creating a new slide deck for a sales presentation, or if I'm writing a 30-minute talk that I have to get, that makes me lose track of time. I know people that hate those things. Another question is, where do I get greater returns than the average person? Again, this goes back to me speaking. I know for certain that I can get better returns on my public speaking than the average person can, than most folks that get in front of a room. My return over the years has been pretty good. And then another question, or lastly, would be, what comes naturally to me? So think about that. What comes naturally to me? Talking to people comes naturally to me. Developing people, that comes naturally to me. And developing people is a big component in growing and evolving your business. And I always talk to people about how they grow, how they develop. The biggest job of anyone is figuring out how to replace themselves. If you can't replace yourself, then it's hard for you to move up because you become irreplaceable, right? Then who's going to fill your void? So what comes naturally to me? So those are the 4 questions. What feels like fun to me and work to everyone else? What makes me lose track of time? Where do I get greater returns than the average person? And then what comes naturally to me? Just 4 fun questions to ask yourself. And then I'll kind of pivot here a little bit. And if you're weighing these things out, if you're thinking about those questions, I'll add a caveat to this. Think of your business, think of your time being consumed in 4 different quadrants. And so if you drew a big square on a sheet of paper and you divided that square into 4 equal parts, just a line down the middle, a vertical line down the center, and then a horizontal line down that center, you would have 4 quadrants. And in that top left quadrant, you would write, what am I good at and I like to do? And then in the top right quadrant, you would write, what am I good at and I don't like to do? And in that bottom left quadrant, you would write, what am I not good at, but I like to do? And then in the bottom right quadrant, you would write, what am I not good at and I don't like to do? So for me, one of the big transformations in my business was I was in the top left quadrant at good at and like to do was doing inspections. I was really, really good at them. And I really liked to do them. And then that went to good at and don't like to do, because I got so consumed with running the business and I still wanted to do inspections. Inspections became very difficult for me from a time management perspective. I was doing all the marketing and I was out doing inspections. So there were 2 things that I was good at and I liked to do, and both of those things ended up being good at and don't like to do, because when I would fail at both almost. When I was out doing an inspection, I was worried about the class that I had to teach the next day or the class I taught that morning. And when I was teaching that class that morning, I wasn't 100% engaged because I was thinking about how I was going to have to rush out to my inspection that afternoon. I couldn't stay back and answer questions. I couldn't stay back and talk to folks. I couldn't rehash my notes that I had written during the class. So think about those 4 quadrants. What am I good at and I like to do? What am I good at and I don't like to do? What am I not good at but I do like to do? And then what am I not good at and I don't like to do? So optimum efficiency is going to be what am I good at and I like to do? That's the quadrant you want to stay in. The quadrant you want to avoid, obviously, almost at all costs, is what am I not good at and I don't like to do? And unfortunately, as our businesses grow, when we're small, we just have to work in all 4 quadrants. There's really no way around it. So as my business grew, I wanted to do a couple of inspections a week. That was my goal. Then it kept growing. I was good at it. I liked it. Then I also learned what I was not good at. I was not good at taxes. I was not good at administrative work, dotting I's and crossing T's. I was not good at insurance. Our insurance has lapsed I don't know how many times over the years because I'm not good at that administrative work. I'm not good at shopping insurance. I've overpaid over the years. I'm not good at operations. I'm good at writing a process, but I'm not good at being accountable for that process. I had to learn how to hire. I had to learn how to hire people for these pieces. I had to learn what my weaknesses were. All of those are really tough things. And learning how to hire is just as important as learning how to fire. Firing is really, really hard, but it is a critical part of your business. It's a critical part of your business because we avoid it. And sometimes it's better to have an empty seat than the wrong butt in the seat. So we put off firing. From a distance, if you've never done it, it sounds like firing might be easy. But then when it's time for you to do it or it's one of your people, you have an emotional attachment. Let me explain. If I go to a friend of mine and say, I caught my 16-year-old smoking cigarettes. They would be like, yeah? And? No, you don't understand. I caught my 16-year-old, I caught him smoking cigarettes. Yeah? And? Oh, no, you don't get it. He's smoking cigarettes. Next, he's going to be drinking. Then he's going to be smoking pot. And then he's going to be doing hard drugs. This is like the end of his life. Because I have that emotional attachment, right? I can't see rationally, I see emotionally, because I have that emotional attachment to my 16-year-old kid. Whereas the person I'm telling this to, they have no emotional attachment. They're like, yeah, that's what 16-year-olds do. So that's what happens in your business when it's time to hire, time to fire, firing in particular. There's that emotional attachment. And when you're in it, it is hard. These are the things that I've had to learn over the years. So I just wanted to get that piece out there about evolvement. And everyone's going to evolve differently at a different pace, and everyone's going to have different ambitions, different goals for their business, for themselves professionally, and for themselves personally. The idea of this segment is just to get people open that there might be a different way of thinking. Yeah, if you think higher fees is immediately associated with greed, then maybe that's a consideration. Be open to the idea that higher fees allow you to go get better education, to get continuing education, to invest in better tools and better equipment, to invest in better people, to invest in better marketing, to invest in better operations people that might improve your product, make better quality control. So the whole point here is be open to your business evolving. And for the business to evolve, we have to evolve as people, because we're really the ones obviously running the business. So I'll get off my soapbox now and shift gears a bit. I do want to get back to, I was doing a pretty good job for a while reviewing books on these podcasts, and I definitely want to get back to that. This is one that I've wanted to share for quite a while. This is the book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. It is hands down the absolute best book I've ever read. It's a quick read. Probably takes 7 or 8 minutes to read. You can see the pages here. It's pretty sparse, but this is one of the kindest, most well-written, most uplifting books I've ever read. And I encourage it for everybody. I encourage you to get a copy for yourself and get a copy for anybody and everybody that you care about, even those that you care marginally about. This is one of the best books I've ever put in my hands. So highly recommend it. This is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy, and really great book. So that is my segment for the week, this podcast this week. And then next week will be the one that I've been building up so much. Oh my gosh, now it's like I've built it up so much, it has to be good. It will be. You won't be disappointed. Listen, I love seeing you guys here every week. If you like what you're hearing, just click that link below. And I've got a surprise coming for you in the next few weeks too. We're gonna start putting my money where my mouth is, literally. And listen, if you have a few minutes, I would love it. It would be amazing if you could write just a quick review about this podcast. Maybe share it with a friend. We're going to try and reach a few more folks. We haven't really had a push to reach new people, but with some of the stuff that we've got coming up, I want to try to reach a few more folks. If you could pass it on, I would be so grateful, and I absolutely can't wait to see you all here next time. Thanks for hanging out on the Service Business Blueprint with me, Jeff Luther. Stay in the loop as we keep delivering these strategies to supercharge your service business. Hit subscribe, leave a review, be part of our growing community. Now you have someone to walk with you as we create your service business blueprint. Until next time, remember, where you focus is where your energy goes. Beliefs turn to things, so choose the good ones.